Okay guys, I'm back again. This time with a quick review on the Kipor IG1000P. This unit was actually sent to me for review by the good folks over at Kipor Power Systems North America. I just wanted to go ahead and give them a special shout out because they have worked with me over the past 2 months that I've been reviewing this generator through my various issues. I've had some really weird things happen to me this year. The first is going to be I had a few deaths in my family, unexpected deaths. I had to go out of town during the review period for this unit and ended up extending the review then. And then on top of that, we had the Detroit floods this year, and my house actually got hit. I had to clean everything out of my basement, so that further extended the time. I ended up doubling the review time on this unit. It was only supposed to be a month, but that has gone up to 2 months and a little bit over. Now that I've had the various issues, and I'm still cleaning out my basement right now. But I want to thank Kipor for working with me, the various folks over there that I've worked with. I really do appreciate it. But with that being said, this is not a paid review. I never take paid reviews. I'm not forced to say anything nice about this item. You're just going to get an honest review out of me. The only thing I've ever received, in this case too, is a sample unit for testing and evaluation. Besides that, I've been given free range to do my review, give my honest opinion of it, and that's what I do with all my reviews. Never will I do a paid review, just to let you guys know. But the IG1000P is an inverter style generator with 900 running watts, 1000 surge watts. It features a 53.5 cc 4-cycle engine, which is kept inside of a double-walled enclosure, allowing this unit to operate between 54 and 59 decibels. It operates for up to 4 hours at the 900 watt rating via the 0.7 gallon fuel tank. You'll get much longer battery life if you go with lesser wattage. In fact, what I've tested it with is I've gotten 12 hours out of the unit out of a 200 watt load with a full tank of gas, and I've gotten around 5 hours out of it with around a 30 watt load with some unmeasurable amount of gas. I mean, it was such a small amount, much less than I would say a cup or something like that. Very, very small amount of gas that I've gotten this unit to run off of, but runs for a nice and long time. So other features include a low oil shutdown. It has inverter protection. This is not too expensive of a unit, and the fact that it has that is very important because a lot of alternative units, and I'm speaking alternatively about units like the Honda EU1000 and the Yamaha EF1000. Those are typically the two that people know about and people choose. And with the alternative units, some have been horrible, where the inverters have blown up, the engines have gone bad because they're made with cheap quality components, and they give other alternative units a bad name. So people typically, hey, if it's not a Honda or Yamaha, I'm not going to buy it. Will pretty much boot this unit out of the way because they think, oh, it's not a Honda or Yamaha, it must be horrible. But this unit is actually fairly good. I mean, it's comparable with the Honda as far as features, quality. As far as the 2 months I've tested it with 24 hours of operation, I've had absolutely no problems with it as far as its function. And it also matches the Honda's warranty. It comes with a 2-year residential warranty, a year for commercial, which matches the Honda's. With other alternative units, the ones that I'm not going to mention the names of that have some problems with their inverters or their engines, typically come with a 1-year residential, 30-day commercial or rental warranty. So this guy is top notch for the money. It comes in right around $500 to $600 depending on where you get it, whereas that Yamaha and the Honda unit are going to come in between 800 and 1,000 units, all depending. So really good value as far as I'm concerned. The unit comes with a couple of accessories. First thing you're going to get that I really like is this little oil cup. It comes with the perfect volume to fill up the unit. So you just fill up this cup, fill up the unit, and the unit is sufficiently filled. You don't have to really measure. Comes with a spare spark plug. This is a Bosch UG5 spark plug. A pretty nice little spark plug there. Definitely not a cheap one. we have a spark plug removal tool, and it's a brass tool so that you don't mar the surfaces of the aluminum engine. The block and head are made out of aluminum. You're also going to get the DC charging cable and the manual and a little plastic baggie which contains a quality certificate as well as your registration information. So what I mentioned about the DC charging cable is comes with these nice little insulated positive and negative alligator clips and goes into this proprietary plug here. Comes with around a 4-foot length of cable, but I did find an issue with this cable. More specifically, the alligator clips. They're just too small. What I found is trying to connect up to the post of my car battery. These clips don't really connect around the little round post. I kind of have to go with the ancillary little posts for like my alarm system in order to get these to fit. And then also with the positive side, it actually came apart on me. The little spring on the inside popped out. But luckily enough, it was really easy to fix. I just popped it back in, and now it's within normal operation. But that's just something that I'll mention about the cable. As far as the exterior of the unit, it's plastic because it's designed to keep the unit quiet. This is a double-walled enclosure. The outer enclosure, the yellow, helps quiet down the mechanics of the engine and the inverter, which typically from a small single-cylinder engine is where the noise is going to come from. A lot of people think it's the exhaust, but it's incorrect. It's actually coming from the valve train of the engine. So having this plastic enclosure on the outside and again on the inside really helps to quiet the noise down in this unit. And overall, when I used the unit, it was very quiet operating. In fact, from the house, I could barely hear this unit running when it was only around 15 to 20 feet away. So on the front side here, we have everything you need to start the unit. We have the choking lever. We have the starter string, and I know this is going to sound kind of nerdy, but it's a really nice starter string. It feels pretty good, and it's a nylon starter string, so you don't have to worry about it fraying or coming apart or breaking on you after many starts, which can be a problem for some other cheaper units. But really nice starter string. It has a on-off switch, which I kind of have mixed feelings about. Not only does it control the spark of the engine, but it also controls the flow of fuel. So if you're like me, when you store your units, you want to turn off your fuel and keep the spark going so that it can take all the gas out of the fuel line and the carburetor. You can't do that with this unit. Your only choice is to either drain the bowl or to run the gas completely out of the unit. And that's what I'm going to do when storing this guy. Is put like a 500 watt load on it, let it run out of gas, and then be done with it. But also on this side, you have your access panel for accessing the air filter as well as the oil. And it just comes with this little screw. It takes a regular flathead screw. You don't have to have any special start pattern or anything like that. And then it screws into a metal, it looks like brass fixture there, so you're not stripping out plastic in case you over tighten it. But inside the section here, we have the air filter, which needs to be pre-oiled before you start the unit, and mine kind of did come pre-oiled. I'll explain that in a second. It's kind of a funny story. But we also have the oil fill, dipstick check, and drain. Has a little chute to drain the oil without spilling it back into the unit. We also have a couple of little small fuel lines coming down. I don't know if you guys can see those, but one is the overflow for the carburetor, and then the other is that drain I mentioned. You just take a little small screwdriver, twist it counterclockwise, and that allows any fuel inside the bottom of the carburetor bowl to drain out safely at the bottom of the unit. You can have a little drip pan or something, but they both exit the bottom of the unit at the side of that panel there. As far as anything else on the inside, you can't really see anything that's behind these black panels because that is the second part of the enclosure. That's the inner enclosure that goes over the mechanics of the engine to help keep it quieter. So that's it on the front panel. Again, very easy to put on and take off. In fact, I'm not even going to tighten it down all the way, and it's still pretty secure. On the front of the unit, we have the main output side of the unit, and that's going to have the circuit breaker, the smart throttle switch, the DC charging section, which has a 5 amp fuse because it's a 5 amp output. We have a bank of 3 LEDs. The top one is the green output indicator, which indicates normal operation of the unit. We have an overload alarm, which indicates the unit is surging, which means you're starting a motor or something like that and it's near the maximum capacity. It will flash and it'll go a solid red once the unit is overloaded, at which point the AC power will be cut and the circuit breaker will come out. That unit, the light will stay red, and then the unit will go down to idle. We have the grounding terminal, parallel ports, and then finally we have 2 North American style grounded power outlets. I think that's called a 20 amp duplex outlet officially. At the back, we don't have access to anything. We just have various warning stickers and of course the Kipor label. Turning it to the exhaust side, we have the spark arrestor down the middle that you need to access every year or every 300 hours. You do that by taking out these 4 screws. This is also where the hot air that is used to cool the inverter unit as well as the engine comes out. It has a couple of various air intakes on the front side, on the side there, and at the bottom. Another special thing about this section is the exhaust is actually cooled as well. It introduces fresh air into the unit before it sends the exhaust out to cool the exhaust gases so that it has less of a chance of catching something on fire. Then I've actually tested. I can get within 3 inches of that exhaust and not burn myself. So pretty nice that it has those features. Around the top, of course, we're going to have the carry handle and fuel cap. Fuel cap has a vent as well as a fuel strainer on the inside, which has a max fill marker to tell you when the tank is full. At the bottom, we have rubber feet and a cooling vent. And that's it as far as the exterior dimensions. So when I first got this unit, the first thing I noticed was how light it was. It comes in at 30.8 pounds dry. It's going to weigh around 35 pounds when you have the 2.6 liters or 0.7 gallons worth of fuel in it. But it's still not heavy at all. In fact, it's got a full tank of gas right now, and I can lift it with just my index finger. Kind of hurts though, but that just shows you how light the unit is. I've had various people pick this unit up in various age groups, and everyone has noticed how light it is. That's one thing I've noticed when using this for yard work and everything. It's just how light it is and how small it is. It doesn't take up much space, and people that previously put off buying generators for themselves because they felt that they were too heavy really liked picking up this unit. So very light little unit. But also when I first got it, I noticed the unit was covered in oil. There's this little clip you'll see here. The unit, when I first unboxed it, there were some oil stains on the box, and when I took the plastic bag off of it, the unit was soaked in oil. The oil seemed to be coming from the section of the air filter, which is why I mentioned it was pre-oiled when I got it. And it's not the fault of Kipor. The unit is tested at the factory with a little oil and gas in order to make sure it actually functions before sending it out to customers. And what happens is you can't get every drop of oil out of it. There's always some residual oil left over. And since the unit is so light, it can be shipped through UPS, and UPS generally likes to mess up your packages. They either kick them around or turn them upside down. In this case, they turned it upside down, and the residual oil that was left leaked out of the intake into the air filter and around other parts of the case as it was tossed around by UPS. But didn't cause any failures or any issues with the unit. I just simply cleaned it up, and the unit ran fine. As far as it running, when I first started it, the unit was fairly loud. Next to it, it was in the high 70 decibel range. And that's just because the unit was brand new. The exhaust hadn't been broken in yet, and it was operating a little bit louder than it should have. After around 4 hours of operation, the unit quieted down to around I think it was the low 70 decibels right next to the unit. At 23 feet, it was right near the manufacturer's rating. I believe that was at 60 decibels, which may have been sort of boosted up because I was in an enclosed area, whereas the manufacturer is going to test this unit in an open field. But throughout the operation of the unit, it seemed to stay fairly consistent with the sound. 60 decibels, 59 decibels at 23 feet in the area I was testing it at. Really quiet operation at even further distances than that. I think I got around 54 decibels at around 45 feet away. As far as the temperature of the unit, I tested this in a variety of different temperatures, ranging from 90 degrees all the way down to 50 degrees. Thank you, Michigan weather. The 50 degrees came from September here, around September 10th, September 11th, when we had these cold temperatures here, and the unit seemed to start fine. Still starts 1 or 2 pulls just like it would in the summertime, and also seemed to run fine. Didn't really need the choke any more than a few seconds. After I turned the choke off, the unit ran consistently. So really consistent little unit. As far as loads, I've been able to test it with various loads. I've had loads from 38 watts all the way up to near 800 watts, and the unit has handled them with ease. Hasn't overloaded on me. It's given me the rated capacity that the manufacturer claims without overloading it, which a lot of cheap generators, cheaper than this as far as quality goes, they may be the same price, but I don't believe they're the same quality as this unit, will not give you their rated capacity. They'll give you somewhere around 100 or so watts less, which is another reason people typically choose Honda and Yamaha, because they think all the alternatives are junk, and that's just not the case with this unit. So it's been a pretty good unit. There's not much more I can say about it, but you'll see everything I've claimed and said in this video in demo videos right after this little scene here. But let me go over my overall likes and dislikes of this unit. My overall likes are going to be the fuel savings with this unit. Very small gas tank, and it sips the fuel from that. It's a very quiet generator at 54 to 59 decibels. It's very light, which means during an emergency, like with the floods I had come through my area, this unit can be placed on a shelf in case the garage flooded. I would still have emergency power if the power went out, because my generator will be safe. It comes with a long 2-year warranty, and overall it's very reliable. I've never had any issues with reliability on this unit. As far as dislikes, I feel that the fuel neck is too narrow. A lot of times I experience fuel spills when using EPA rated containers to refill the unit, because they sort of chug. So I have to use a little fuel funnel in order to fill up the unit. The DC charging voltage is fairly high. It's between 15 and 30 volts. I experienced anywhere from 21 to 30 volts with my multimeter, and it charges a battery relatively quickly, even though it's only 5 amps. With a completely dead car battery, and I'm not talking where the lights won't come on, I'm talking around the 10 volt range, it will charge that battery from 10 volts all the way up to 14 volts in under 4 hours, and it from there will quickly, within a few minutes, overcharge the battery because it's not regulated. That's a common issue with portable generators, is they don't have a regulated DC output, but in this case the voltage for the DC is also pretty high. The alligator clips are also too small, but besides that, no real issues with the generator. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and run the demo videos. It's around 5 or 8 minutes worth of demos for you to see this guy in operation, so stay tuned. Okay guys, I'm outside again with the Kipor IG1000P, and it's a little bit louder this time. There it is right there. Have it off of economy mode. It's probably about 18 feet away, so it's running at full speed. Have it hooked up via a cheap 100-watt extension cord, like a $20-something extension cord, and I have that going into a kilowatt P3 international power usage meter. So we're looking at the volts, 119.4 at the end of the 100-foot cord. No amps. 60 hertz. And what we're going to try to run here is one of these blowers. This is a Works GT I have plugged in with another probably around 25-foot cord. Alright guys, so what I want to do next is test the DC charging functionality of the generator. I've already done this off camera and I'll read the results at the end, but what I first want to do is show you how to set up DC charging. So what I've done, the generator is running in eco mode right now. Will charge in that mode, but not as high of a rate. So if you want to get a battery charged at the full 5 amps at 12 volts, you need to put it in the full output mode. But I just plugged the cable in. Cable's connected to a battery. One special note is if you have a battery like this without marine terminals, you will have to work out something like a little clamp there to hold it onto the battery, because the actual clamps that come with the unit are too small to fit on the little round terminals of that battery. So I have a clamp there. I'm going to freehand the other one just for demonstration purposes. So open circuit voltage is at 31 volts. Alright, so you see this battery is fully charged. It charges up quickly from a completely dead state. This battery, let me turn off the generator here. But from a completely dead state, it took right around 3, maybe a little less hours to charge that battery up, since the voltage is kind of high and it's at a good amount of current. Plug in the fridge. Didn't seem to load it down too much. Let's turn. So I put it back in economy mode. Let's go take a look at the fridge. Again, following the cord. I thought it would have put more of a load on it. So let's make sure the compressor's on. Okay. Oh yeah. Definitely on. Compressor's running. Yeah, fridge sort of a mess. I took some food out of here because it was in the basement. We have lights. Ice dispenser doesn't have a water line hooked up, but it is running. Lights. Let's take a look at our kilowatt meter. Oops. So, at the end of this 100-foot thin wired cheap extension cord, still pretty good voltage, 118 volts as long as it's 110 or higher. We're fine, so that's the voltage. Now I'm going to hit the amps. It's drawing 1.34 amps. We're at 151 watts, so a little bit different from what I saw on house power, but right at 60 hertz. So guys, as you can see from the demos, the unit is fairly quiet, and to my surprise, and probably yours too, it runs a fridge, it runs an outdoor leaf blower, various other devices. Even though it's, it's only 30 pounds and rated for 900 watts, it does pretty good with running various different devices. So as quick tips for anyone who may be thinking about buying this unit. Maybe this is your first time buying a generator. Here's a few tips of things you may want to know. Get a fuel can, at least 2 gallons in capacity, so that you have enough fuel to fill up the unit and have some reserve fuel. Get regular 10W30 oil for your break-in oil. The break-in period is 10 hours for the oil. After 10 hours, you have to change the oil. My oil was kind of dirty, but didn't really contain any metal flakes that you would normally expect. But the overall break-in for the unit is 20 hours. You never run the unit more than a 50% load for the first 20 hours. But change it with fully synthetic oil after the break-in period to help keep the unit from wearing down too early. If you have ethanol in your fuel like I do here in Michigan, get a fuel stabilizer. Always run fuel stabilizer through your generator, but specifically get a fuel stabilizer that treats ethanol, and that's what I use in this generator because we have up to 10% ethanol in the state of Michigan here, especially at my local stations. But if you're going to use this to charge batteries, use an automatic battery charger instead of the DC output that's built into the unit. Run the unit out of fuel for long storage, and also allow the unit to cool down before putting a cover on it or storing it back in your garage. That'll help keep accidents like fires from happening. Also, get a power analyzer. Something like a kilowatt P3 meter is what I use. You can get any other type to help you get your rated loads before you plug them into the generator, so you can see, hey, this unit will run 900 watts. I have a load I tried on this and it's 1,000 watts. That's not going to work. Or hey, I ran a appliance that only pulls 600 watts. That will work on this unit. And then also for the analyzer, get a little adapter, because what I forgot to mention in the negatives is the unit actually has a inset set of plugs. They have a little lip here, so you can't plug in the power analyzer directly into the unit. You have to have an adapter, and that goes for power bricks as well. It has sort of a curve here, and it's also inset so that you can't plug in plugs quite as easily as you think, but just a small issue there. Besides that, get a battery operated carbon monoxide detector if you're going to be running this overnight for emergency power outages. I don't anticipate, if you keep the unit 15 feet away from your house and make sure your windows on the side is operating or closed, that you would have any issues, but that's just added insurance. And then another thing is to install an hour meter. This is going to be a separate video from the main review here, but I'm going to be installing an hour meter on this unit just to keep tabs on maintenance and how long the unit has been operating. But besides that, this is not going to end with this review. I'm going to continue to use this unit, and if anything happens with it, I'll let you guys know. Winter is coming up pretty soon here in Michigan. I don't have to tell you guys how cold the winters we get. We're darn near Canada. But I'll go ahead and do cold starts and see how the unit operates, and probably this winter sub-zero temperatures. So as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope I didn't leave anything out. If I have, I'll go ahead and annotate that. But if you guys have any questions about this unit, how to operate it, how to do maintenance to it, what features it has, go ahead and leave me a comment, and I'll try to answer that for you guys. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.